The litmus test was walked into the MetLife Stadium Sunday. Giants have a long way to go, naturally. Eagles are, I think, better than people maybe thought they were. You're going to get the best version of the Eagles when they show up to MetLife. They don't like the Giants. I don't care what records are. They're really good, man. They physically dominated the Giants from the very first snap. And it was I think it was eye-opening for the Giants staff and players. Obviously, I think the fans probably thought they were going to lose, but not like that. So whether you lose by 1, lose by 34, whatever the hell the number was yesterday, it's a loss. So hopefully they can compartmentalize this and move on to a very big game next Sunday night.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you think about what Brian Daboll said to the Giants right after the loss to the Cowboys, he said the season starts now. Right after this loss to the Eagles, the playoffs start now. You're fighting for your playoff life. And like you said, Lawrence, from the opening jump, just from the opening snap, they came in like a team who knew they needed to win to clinch a playoff spot. They knew a receiver like A.J. Brown had 30, 40, 50 yards to get their thousands. This is a team that came in and they said, you know what? We're not going to allow this to be close. I know the Giants wanted to keep it to a one-possession game heading into the fourth. But for the Eagles, it was a get it game. Get into the playoffs. Get my 1,000. Get my Jalen Hurts. Let me make sure I get my MVP votes up in this game. And he played a heck of a game. And it just started from what I feel pregame warm-up. It almost felt like just the energy in the stadium. And Paul, jump in the energy in the stadium. I'm there with DJ Clue, legendary DJ Clue, trying to hype it up. And just, I don't know if it was the rain, the snow, whatever it is. This is December football, not only for the players, but for the fans and the atmosphere as well. It just felt like the Eagles came in and they knew what they wanted to get done, and they didn't want to have this be a close game at all. They wanted to put the Giants away early.
Yeah, it's we've talked so much about meaningful games, December football, meaningful games in December, and the Giants earned the right to have that, which is what we have. But those can't be just lip service. Those can't be just things we say or write. Meaningful games in December. Well, we have them with the Giants right now, but then you have to earn the right to win those games in December. And look, I'm going to say something, and the players here, Lawrence and Brandon, are going to probably go, here you go again. But that looked like a team that their bodies were in MetLife Stadium getting ready to play the Eagles, but their heads were in FedEx Field a little bit, saying, you know what? We're going to play this game, and this is an important game, but next week is more important. Just look what they did with Saquon Barkley, right? There was so much doubt about whether he was going to play, he wasn't going to play, legitimate issues with the neck, and then they come out with this rotation. You're going to play a series, Brightwell will play a series, Breida will play a series, and then the game got out of hand, and they just shelved Saquon, which was the right thing to do. But this was the first time in Brian Daboll's watch where they got totally outmanned, totally outcoached, totally outclassed. And you can tell, he's talked about being humbled. When he went to the podium after the game, you can tell he was humbled, because it was like, as the player said, we got our asses whooped. That's what Julian Love and Saquon Barkley.
That's funny.
That's what they said. I mean, Saquon,
no, there was a lot of we got our asses whooped in the locker room. Jihad Ward had a kind of a sit down.
Yeah, I
love him. He seems like the alpha male in that locker room. In terms on defense, and I'm not saying, I'm not in the building, so I'm not sure how many there are of him. He's got a lot of intro role in him, leadership qualities, doesn't take any what. And listen, the reality of it is, guys, since the bye week, obviously the Xavier McKinney injury, and Paul, you called this a little bit, their defense has been terrible. And what happened is they got bullied, and I think there's somewhere around, since Xavier went out, 28 points a game against defensively. But here's a bigger one. Ever since they made Adoree Jackson the punt returner in Detroit, which you could say was very much the whole game early in that game, the Giants are giving up 32 points a game. I mean, you're not going to win. Half their secondary's out. They can't stop the run. That is a big problem. They're actually bad against the run. And I don't know where it's at. It seems like it's all over the place, right?
You're
left,
Lawrence,
middle, edge.
You've been saying about the run all year. You've been even when they've been winning, you say they got to stop the run. Now at halftime, Brian Daboll said he went
to the team and said, look, it's going to be a different game in the second half here.
Yeah.
24/7. They're going to run the ball. At halftime, the Eagles had 61 rushing yards. You know what the numbers were in the second half? I mean, and Daboll knew it. He said, look, they're winning the game. They're going to try to run it down our throats. 21 rushing attempts, 192 yards, 9.1 yards a carry. So that was really disturbing. You had a team that said, look, we scored 24 points in the first half. We don't have to, wing it down the field and wow you. We're just going to run it down your throats. And the Giants just said, thank you. I'll take another.
It's not that this is the end all be all. It's why I got so pissed off, just like you guys did, when Adoree Jackson went out on a punt return. It was such a poor decision on that coaching staff's part. And I know injuries happen and they could have happened, but if a player is going to get hurt, you actually want to get them, maybe on defense, not returning a punt, something he doesn't do. And so that one stings a little bit. That one's going to keep Brian Daboll up at night, which I'm sure it has. But maybe he comes back. Not all is lost yet, and they can hopefully, turn this thing around. But the opportunities are getting slim, right? We're running out of football games here.
Yeah, and I don't think that would. Well, I don't think it would have stung as bad if McKinney didn't have the self-inflicted injury, because you would have had someone on the back end that has range, that has the ability to be a ball hawk and play the ball. I mean, you just look at Devontae Smith's touchdown on that. Julian Love, you look at the year that he's having, being probably going to be voted into the Pro Bowl. He's not supposed to be there in that. That's Xavier McKinney. He's a center fielder. He's the one that flies over the top. And I believe, Paul, did he have 1 or 2 interceptions against the Eagles last year, which was one of his breakout games against the Eagles. So there's nothing against a Julian Love in that sense. But I just look at that where Xavier McKinney, I believe in my mind, is now looking like, I don't care what you have to do. Ronnie Lotme, cut my hand off if I have to. I will wear a cast and go out there and play, because there was a Dane Belton play a couple weeks ago that you could look at and be like, if I'm Xavier McKinney, I would have been there to make that play. Now there's another one in that sense where he could have been there to make that play as well. And the Giants that defense has to find a way to stop the bleeding, because the Eagles went 6-for-11 on third down. And a lot of that was because of the run, because these guys are getting 4, 6, 8 yards on first down rushing the ball. I mean, what you can do whatever you want. You're ahead of the sticks. And as a defensive coordinator, you can get counter punch. You can be hurt trying to be aggressive on a 2nd and short or a 3rd and short in that sense. So the Giants are in a position right now to where, again, they got punched. Sometimes getting punched in the mouth is the best thing for you, especially going into a FedEx Field in a must-win situation. But right now, whether it's fan base, whether it's the players in that locker room, I don't think the players are hitting the panic button, but you can see the vitriol online right now. The fan base is really hitting the panic button, and I don't want that to bleed into the games or the support for this football team.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I look, the Giants, they were out of the locker room really fast. Lawrence, you've been in locker rooms right after a bad loss, and it clears out, right? It clears out. By the time we got in there, there was, it was like a turnstile in the front there where you have your little food area there. Those guys were grabbing and going. They if they ran to the ball quickly as they ran out of there,
what they have yesterday, Paul? Some Popeyes or what was the to go?
They have it. It's kind of like outside the locker room now. They have it in these to go things. I really can't tell.
You don't know what it is. Yeah.
But it's
that used to actually be the small victory after a win or loss. Yep. You're like, oh yeah, let me grab this food.
You grabbed that, right? And what did and did that even make it home, or did you just eat it in the car at that point?
My wife always drove home because I was either mentally exhausted or something. Right. Just so I would sit. Yeah, I would eat.
And you save the cookie for later. You save the cookies for
later.
The little snack. Yeah.
It was. It always got to me when I would see this cool little catering thing, and it's like, you just lost 31-7. You know what I mean? Take the food away. You don't deserve the food this time.
I was trying to think though. I've never lost a game like that. I kind of went back in my career mentally. Really? I was on a lot of really good teams. Fortunately, I've never been beat like that. Like, I'm sorry, like that. I don't know what that would feel like, what it would look like. Now, I've lost some heartbreakers, Philly in that building, Deshaun Jackson with the punt return. So any loss sucks, but we have to talk about this, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's a lot of it. But
The punt. I want to know about the punt.
The Jamie Gillen punt.
I want to know about the punt.
God.
That was the Aussie rules?
So, yeah, it was like a rugby play / World Cup drop kick from a keeper to a punt. And I love the fact that he gave it an attempt. And I'm not here to be disrespectful, Jamie Gillen. Shit happens in the NFL, and I'm not piling on. But, we talked about complimentary football in the pregame show. That did not happen. Yeah. Now, naturally, it did later when they blocked their own. Yeah. But, of course, they didn't follow it up with a great kickoff cover. That was actually a heads-up play because I didn't know the rule either. I don't think anyone on this podcast did, nor did anyone on television yesterday know really the rule. But when he drop kicked it, I thought, oh, man, that's pretty smart, even if it's 8 yards. But my initial thought were, catch the damn ball, dude, because, Matt Dodge had this issue, Paul, and you remember this. He couldn't, and I'm not saying Jamie does, but Matt used to drop snaps like in dry weather. And maybe we just need to get these Giants punters out of number 6 because they both wore number 6. They both like to lift weights. They both were yoked up. Being yoked up as a punter obviously doesn't work well wearing a Giants jersey. But, man, so what was the penalty? It was
illegal kicking.
Loss of down, and so it was really bad. It was almost worse than him picking it up and getting hit right there, right? It went back further.
Well, if he just dives on it, it's 4th down. The play ends there. He kicked it for 15 yards, which obviously was not legal. As soon as I saw it, I don't know all the rules, but as soon as I saw it,
something felt.
Well, you can't kick the ball. You can't just kick it, and so then it's a 10-yard penalty. They get the ball to 33-yard line of the Giants. You talk about complimentary football. And then the first play, they just said the hell with it. They throw to A.J. Brown for a touchdown. Jamie said, I caught it and I molded it. What does that mean, Lawrence? You kind of
molding it. I have a ball in here.
Give us a live demonstration here.
Yeah.
Oh God. Hold on. I got game balls. Hold on here. Oh,
let
me come back in.
Yeah, this is good.
Come back in.
Don't mess up the mint now. Don't mess up the mint condition.
A Chiefs game ball. Look at that guy. Yeah. All right. All right. Nice. So when he gets it, say he catches it like this, he's molding it. So he's just getting it into his hand. So like this. Okay. So he's getting it to push it out there and punt it. And so as he did that, I think it went.
He said, as I was getting ready to kick it, it just slid. The ball was wet.
Yeah.
And look, someone in my position, where it's like the Spanish Inquisition, right? What happened? He dropped.
It's pretty simple.
You can't. Sean Landetta, a famed Giants punter, there was wind. He drops and he just whiffed on it. So right in baseball, when the ball goes through a great shortstop's legs, what happened? Well, I didn't get my glove down, and that's what happened. It's something that shouldn't happen. Sometimes happens. The kick made it more comical and more like, you should know the rules. He admitted he didn't know.
He has to me, and I don't know, Brandon, his drop is very horizontal, up and down. It's not. Most drops are more horizontal. Am I saying that right? Is that horizontal? Yeah. His is more vertical. If you watch him punt, it's almost like he drops it this way because the way he swings up on it. And that's just how he punts, and that's fine. But I think that is conducive to him dropping the ball because it looks like he holds the back end of the football. Maybe that's a question for T-Mac on Thursday. Is because he does have to me, and I think maybe T-Mac would agree with this, his drop is different than most punters I've ever seen, the way he hits it. And I hate that happened to him, and I thought he tried to make a bad play a good play, but that stunk, right? That was a big play of the game.
Well, shoot me the verbiage in a text, but I'm going into the locker room on Wednesday, and I want to ask him about
the drop.
Yeah, about what, because he's had some good plays, and again, like you said, this is no disrespect.
He had a nice game after that. He really
did. Did he really?
Yeah. I thought he. That's hard to come back from, and he did, and overall he's had a nice 2 or 3 games. That sucks. Of course, he doesn't play linebacker or play defense, or D line.
You know what? It's better for him that it happened in a game like this, where it's just one of the things. Point to. Imagine if this is a fairly close game and that happens, and then it's he choked. He dropped the ball. He dropped the
Yeah.
ball. I mean, it's
He's coming along. I like him. I know there's a lot of hate online, but people are so just in the moment, prisoners of the moment. Like, look at his body of work. Like, this guy, you don't, his leg is hard to find. And you need a big, strong man up there in East Rutherford to punt. And he checks a lot of boxes. He's still young. He's 25 years old. And he's lefty. Causes problems. He hits some. I like him. I know he's had some struggles, but
and because the camera was on him so much after that, I got a lot of emails, and even my wife, it's like, what's with the guy's hair? What's with his hair?
Yeah, big mane. That is big.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's
we need to get him. Hair. We need to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Just ask fun Scottish questions.
Well, it was a game of one-offs versus a team where you can't have that one bad play in a sense. But I defensively, we had 4 sacks. Giants had put up 4 sacks. Azeez Ojulari back. This man is back. Woo. He's absolutely back. And it goes, I mean, you never want to look back, but you just think of some of the games the Giants could have won this season had he been in that lineup. This dude looks like he hasn't missed a beat all year. Kayvon Thibodeau played a pretty strong game. Like, you're seeing good things within the pass rush. 4 sacks, and it's like we've been looking for that for quite some time now, but that only to get overshadowed by Philly's 7 sacks again. So you're seeing some progress in some areas, Paul and Tynes, but at the same time, it's being overshadowed by bad play on the other side, or bad play by the overall, in a sense.
I'm finding it very difficult, and it's my job to analyze Daniel Jones after these games. In the elevator coming down, a few of us, we were talking. The game. The coaches are in the other elevator. They go down first, and we're going down. I'm trying to formulate my thoughts as I take out my walk underneath MetLife Stadium to get to the interview and locker room area, and I'm thinking about Daniel Jones and. It's hard for me to evaluate him. And look, Tyrod Taylor comes in, right? In garbage time, in mop up time, and fumbles the ball, right? It's a you're throwing the ball. He gets hit, sack, fumble, and I'm thinking to myself, well, we haven't seen that with Daniel Jones, so it's so it's like, okay, that's a plus for Daniel Jones. Through all this slop that we're seeing in bad offense, he's not doing that. He's not throwing the ball up in the air. He's not, dropping the ball. He's not trying to throw the ball left-handed and things like that. So it's hard to evaluate. The production is not there. I know who he's throwing to. He doesn't have Saquon Barkley. Let's face it. I mean, he's a shell of what he was, and he didn't play much. So, there's nothing egregious that Daniel Jones did in the game. I thought he made some good throws. I can't think of 5 throws that were awful throws. He held on to the ball. Yeah. It's hard. And
he's tough.
It's hard. It's hard. I think it's going to be hard evaluation at the end of this year. If this keeps up where they just don't produce, they're not winning enough, but he's playing okay.
Yeah. He's played, a lot of guys, there were some good games yesterday. Darnay Holmes. Coming back was a big deal. Jalen Smith, we've talked bad about the backers. I thought he played outstanding. It's amazing how much they miss Leonard Williams. We always talk about it. Dexter Lawrence didn't do anything yesterday. I think he had an assisted tackle. That was it. Maybe one pressure. So they miss Leonard Williams a lot. Maybe it's the way they work together. Daniel Jones is such an interesting topic every Sunday because I watched the game, guys. He's the only one that shows up on offense. He is. You're going to get your 200-plus yards a game, 40, 50 yards rushing. He had both touchdowns yesterday. Obviously, there was one late. Tyrod Taylor got sacked 3 times and 9 dropbacks. Think about that. Yeah. That's how bad, and of course, Pert was out there and some young guys trying to get some reps. But where this game went sideways was early. Andrew Thomas inexplicably gets beat by Sweat. And then, Evan Neal, guys, he really struggled at right tackle. He struggles with speed. The last time the Giants were sacked, I think, more than 7 times was against the Arizona Cardinals in 2020. You know who was on that D-line? Hassan Reddick. Yeah. He was on this D-line, too.
He's a giant killer. Boston Scott and Hassan Reddick.
Boston Scott.
Boston Scott
and
Hassan Reddick. Yeah.
So, Daniel was sacked 4 times, Tyrod 3. And you just can't, and I get it. Like, if you're sacked 2 out of your first 3 or 4 dropbacks, man, that's got to be a terrible feeling as a quarterback. And I'm with you, Paul. He is so hard to evaluate. There's so many things to like about him. but then there's like, do you just get rid of everyone in the offseason and start over? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I like him. He plays his ass off every Sunday. I know what I'm going to get from Daniel Jones on Sunday.
And he's building a nice little chemistry with Isaiah Hodgins. You know, he only had 4 for 38, but back-to-back touchdowns. Back-to-back touchdowns. He's showing up, which is why I would like to see more plays, more schemes to get the ball to Isaiah Hodgins in big boy moments. It doesn't have to be a 3rd and long. He doesn't have to be your speed guy. But you saw Daniel Jones early in the game throw it up in double coverage to him. I held my breath on that one. But at the same time,
that was the one throw that was. I kind of said the same thing, Brandon. Safety over the top. I was like, whoa.
Well, you're talking, you're looking at the numbers. Richie James had, 7 catches. That's good. Hodgins is a guy who came out of nowhere. So it's like, wow, he's an NFL player, it looks like. But look, with I think you're grading on a scale here. I mean, look across the field. You have Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. I mean, they're getting the ball in the end zone. They're making guys look silly and getting the ball in the end zone. Scheme, who they're playing on defense. I get all that.
Protection. Can we talk about protection?
Yes. I get all that. But I mean, it's a different, look, it was supposed to be Galladay. We know that. We're not going through that. It was supposed to be Kadarius Toney. We know that. We're not going through that again. It's not those two. It was supposed to be Sterling Shepard. So you're 1, 2, and 3 receivers. For injury or for just terrible play or getting traded, they're gone. So, this is 4, 5, and 6 in on the depth chart. And I think that's what they look like. I mean, I look, Isaiah Hodgins is a good story. It's a good story. But, he'll
be your 4th or 5th guy on a good team.
Yeah. And Darius Slayton would be your 3rd. Okay. Yeah. And he's a vertical threat. He's a 3rd, maybe drops the ball a little too much. We get that. So, they want to look next week. They're going against McLaurin. What do you call him, Brandon?
Scary Terry.
I mean, is there
Paul? Let me add one more to that.
Come on,
Dallas Goedert wasn't even there.
No.
Yeah.
Wait till he comes back from that rib injury or whatever he had, and then we lose our tight end again. Bellinger looks like for ribs man. This team just can't catch a break. It's bad, but they'll have an opportunity Sunday, but that Philly team was not even fully loaded on Sunday. No. The offensive line is the difference, Paul. Like you could say all you want about skill guys, and I get it, they're better, but watch their offensive line and watch ours. Evan Neal, and you're going to have to live with his struggles. Andrew Thomas struggled as a rookie. Evan Neal's going to struggle as a rookie, which he has. He's very slow-footed. He doesn't move his feet well for a guy. Maybe he needs to lose some weight. I don't know what their plan is for him at right tackle. To me, he struggles with speed, and his footwork looks terrible. He's really slow. But that's some of the things that Andrew struggled with early, if you think about it. And look where Andrew is now. But you just don't think you have 2 or 3 years to wait for Evan Neal to get better. The interior O-line played better, guys. We can sit here and mash them all week and all previous shows. They played better. Glowinski,
Gates?
Our left Gates and Feliciano. Sorry. So they played better. It was just the tackles that we struggled. Not a position we usually struggle with.
I know we don't want to talk about next year, but I think Evan Neal will have that same effect as an Andrew Thomas. I mean, you think of a Georgia guy, a Bama boy. They know the speed now. They know what they have to go up against. I see him going to some offensive line coach or trainer and losing that weight or getting that fast feet. But we're talking about the right now. And I don't, before we close out, Jason Kelce, that's when we're talking about the product of our receivers to the Eagles receivers and then the offensive line. He's a center that pulls.
Oh man. Many cool plays.
Yeah. He pulls and he gets to the outside and he maims. He puts hands on people, and that's what that's like offensive line.
That Jalen Hurts touchdown where he ran the schemed run where he pulled. He snaps it, looks okay. No one needs help, and then here I come, and that's a problem. He's good. Obviously Dexter had a half a tackle, guys. Half a tackle.
You guys can both be contributors when Kelce gets into the Hall of Fame and 7, 8,
we'll write a nice note for him.
5 years after he retires, you can mention these plays. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a great player. He's the heart and soul of their team. The Giants are trying to develop those kind of guys, right? Lawrence, you played with some of those guys, and it's hard to develop those kind of guys who are leaders, winners, great players, galvanizing forces.
Galvanize.
I like the word galvanize,
word.
Right? Jalen Hurts galvanized his team. You know what? Jalen Hurts didn't even have to galvanize his team on Sunday. He just had to show up. They were so dominant. As I'm driving home, Cross Bronx was not terrible last night in the snow and rain. So really? I'm not frustrated. I'm driving home and I'm thinking, man, the Eagles, they are clearly the best team in the NFC. And then I'm listening to the radio and I'm hearing the scores and I'm like, 49ers, maybe the 49ers are going to have something to say about that. The 49ers can go into Philadelphia and win. I mean, to do that to the Bucks and Tom Brady with Mr. Irrelevant a quarterback, they are damn good. The 49ers.
Defensively, they have what it probably takes.
Yeah. I mean, and they have great offensive players. They really do.
Yeah, but the thing I didn't like about Philly is some of their players were chirping on social media yesterday after the game. Like Ndamukong Suh tweeted something. And Ndamukong Suh did not register a NFL statistic yesterday.
What did he say?
Shut the hell up.
You don't have to.
It was so corny too. It was the corniest.
Some Giants aren't so big.
Yeah, it was the corniest. Shut up! You just got there. You did nothing. You did not record an NFL statistic. He didn't even make the stat sheet, and he's tweeting as he heads home.
Wait. You're allowed to tweet. You're allowed to say something. It's like the dude in the
Giants aren't. But it was a stupid tweet.
Here we go.
It's
the Eagles' hatred coming out. It always.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is.
Comes out, and guys, it always.
But how
does.
can you tweet if you didn't record an NFL statistic? I don't understand that. You have to kind of look at your own game. You did nothing.
You're still there, and you're going to make plays going forward.
Maybe that's it. Linville didn't tweet. Linville didn't tweet yesterday. Linville was just, he probably took the bus home. Didn't think I needed to shoot a tweet.
One thing, a lot of times in these games, and I know like with the Jets, Robert Saleh says we're going to see them again, right?
Yeah.
We're going to see the Bills in the playoffs again. That's what he said. Okay, we'll see about that.
The Jets might be in Cabo.
Now,
playoff time.
Now the Giants know they're seeing the Eagles again. Only one guy, Jihad Ward, kind of said, "Yeah, well, we get to see them again." But he kind of just said it. I mean, nobody on the Giants after the game, we're kind of saying, "Oh, you want to get them again?" No, nobody said we want to see them again. Nobody said, "Well, they'll we'll attend to business in Philly when we see them again." There was none of that. It was like we don't need to see them again.
Jihad Ward, I love his interviews. There is not 3 words without an expletive, and he just tells it like it is.
He also puts them in places that grammatically they don't belong. And
but they're awesome.
That MF there does not really.
I like
qualify
John
that. It's just
I like
okay.
it.
He's okay.
What do you mean he's okay? He's the man.
I don't think he is the Antro role of this team. I really don't. I don't think his
He's
words,
better in a one-on. He's better in a media setting.
I don't think his words resonate the way Antro. What was it? What did Antrell say in 2011? What was his rallying cry?
I forget. I'm old now. Remind me.
It was something. But I guess it didn't resonate.
We have the sound bites. He is a dog.
Yeah.
He is a dog.
and one thing about the situation. Yeah.
Lawrence, what you're saying is that Ndamukong Suh had the same stat line as former President Bill Clinton, who was on the field as well yesterday.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
All in. That was Antro roll. All in was your 2011 thing. All in. You gotta be all in, right? You guys, didn't you all get poker chips? You got to be all in.
Yeah, we got those. It's inside our ring. So
the poker chip. They didn't give the kickers. They didn't give the kickers poker chips. What? You didn't get them?
I don't think the kickers got one. I don't think we got one. Maybe we weren't in that meeting.
You and Weatherford, they're the specialists. They don't need the poker.
Me and Steve were working out, probably.
Yeah.
Working on the pecs.
Yeah. Well, one of you was.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah.
Did not record a tackle on Sunday. The Giants will take on the Commanders. That was my best Bill Clinton impression there. Can the Giants beat the Commanders, guys? Let's close with this, because this team has looked lost, but they have a chance at redemption. And that tie right now is helping them in the playoff standings, thanks to Seattle's loss. The Giants are still the final playoff spot. Lawrence, we'll start with you. How confident are you feeling going into Sunday?
I feel pretty good. I think it's a game they should have won last week. Yes, they just played them a short time ago. They're getting some guys back, but But again, so will Washington be getting Chase Young back. And so I think it'll be a classic NFC East matchup Sunday night, come down to a field goal type of thing. We'll talk about in the preview show. But I'm confident. Listen, it's hard to kind of look at yesterday and think this team can go anywhere and beat anybody. But the reality of it is that's the NFL sometimes. And when you play the best team in the NFL, stuff like that can happen. So I'm pretty confident. I think they can go up there and win, or down there. Sorry.
Look, it's not a house of horrors for the Giants. It certainly is not. You know what I mean? FedEx Field is a place that they've walked off that crappy field in that crappy stadium and won.
It's terrible.
You know, right? It's terrible, right, Lawrence? It's just, and there will be a bunch of Giants fans there. You know, they don't sell out usually. So this is not like going into Seattle or going into Kansas City and it's like, well, they got no chance to win. We just saw them play a game where, should they have won? Statistically, they were dominated, but they had more chances to win. I think the Giants are getting 4.5 points. They're underdogs going in. So to a team they just tied, I don't know if I'm going to pick them to win, but I definitely think they can win. I don't think this getting blown out by the Eagles is going to affect them, 7 days later in Landover, Maryland. I really don't.
Yeah, I think the Giants going to go down there and pull this one off, man. I think the coaching staff, like you said, you're getting bodies back. I think they used Saquon on this prior game. They use Saquon against the Eagles. Like, if he's healthy, if we're close enough, he'll go. If not, we'll kind of hold him back. I think he's going to run rampant. It's going to be feed Saquon. He's going to be like, put this on my back. This playoff run, he's going to say, hey, put it on my back. I'll run into the playoffs. So they'll be creative. They'll get the ball to him. And like you said, they're down there playing in an FCS stadium, and nobody's showing up to these Commanders games. So they'll have it's not like crowd noise will be will affect them or anything. So they need to win. They have to win that.
And you're in good shape if they win. I was just looking at the Seahawks schedule. They play the 49ers, that we just talked about as a potential NFC champion contender. Then they have to go to Kansas City, and the Chiefs are being the Chiefs right now. And then they got to face the Jets before they close out with the Rams. So that's a Seahawks team that can lose 3 more games. Giants could end up in the playoffs with 9 wins.
You could have all 4 NFC East teams. If this thing shakes out the right way, make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's scary.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.